Hello and welcome, dear students, to this lecture. Today we are going to talk about the passive voice tense. It's the rule of be plus past participle. In this lecture, inshallah, we are going to talk about some different points. The first one is about passive voice forms. The second one about the change of pronouns. Then we'll talk about passive voice of present simple. And also we are going to talk about the passive voice of the past simple. So let's start our lecture. Passive voice, be plus past participle. The verb be have different forms. The first one is the present form, which include is, and are. The second one is the past form, was and were. Was is the past of is and and were is the past of are. The third is the past participle form, which include the form being. So be here have some different forms. Include the present form is, and are, and the past form include was, were, and the past participle form include being. In the forms of the passive voice tense, the object shifts to the place of the subject, and subject shifts to the place of the object. So each one of them replaces the other. So each one of them replaces the other. The subject moves to the place of the object, and the object takes the place of the subject. For example, I write a letter. Here I is the subject, write is the form of the verb in the present, and the letter is the object. And here we call this form as active form. And here we have another form which includes the same content. A letter is written by me. And this is the passive form. Here, as you see, the subject moves to the final position. It takes the place of the object. And the object comes to, and the object came to the position of the subject. And the verb right is written in some different form. It includes is plus the past participle. Is plus the past participle. So here our passive form for this sentence is a letter is written by me. Another form, the subject of the sentence can be omitted in the passive form. As you see in this example, I write a letter. This is the active form as we said in the previous example. And here, a letter is written. This is some other form. And it's known as the passive form, okay? But here, as you see, there is no what? I here, okay? We didn't use the subject. So I, which included in the active form, okay? I write a letter, is hidden in the passive form, as you see. So there is no form of subject, okay? So a letter took the place of the subject, and then we use the verb. A letter is written. Okay. The past participle is always used as the main verb in the passive tense. So here when we say a letter is written by me, this is the passive form. A letter is written by me, and this is what? The past participle form. So here we use be, the verb to be, plus the past participle. A letter is written by me, and this is the passive form. The word by is used before the subject in the passive sentence, but not always. That means not in all forms, okay? The subject is omitted in the passive form, okay? And when we use it, okay, we'll use by before the new form of it. So let's see the example again. A letter is written by me. A letter is written by me. This is a passive form, okay? So here in the previous form, we said I write a letter. I write a letter. And here we use a letter as a subject in the place of the subject, and then we use the verb be plus past participle. So here we'll find is written, and the subject of the active form, okay, used in some different position in the passive form. So we use it after by. So a letter is written by me. It's a passive form. And this is the form of the object, okay, here, the new object. Object of what? Object of why. Me is the object of why. Later, we are going to talk about the changing of pronouns in the passive sentence. Here we have some other passive form. A letter is written. A letter is written. And here we didn't use what? We didn't use the subject, okay, or by me. Okay, we didn't use it in this form. And here we can say a letter is written is correct passive form, and a letter is written by me is also correct. So it's up to the speaker, okay, producer of the sentence, okay. He can use by plus the noun phrase, or even he can hide it, okay, as in the second example. So what about the change of pronouns? Here we can say in the passive sentence, the subject which takes the place of the object will be changed even in its form. So here you can notice this point, okay, in the active voice subject, and also in the passive voice, we'll find the object of by, which come after by, will be different. For example, the pronoun I is the subject pronoun. We use it in the passive voice after by as me. So you can say by me. For the subject, we use it in the passive voice as by us. You, as the subject in the active voice, in the passive voice, will say by you. He, in the subject, or he as a subject in the active voice, is used by him in the passive. She, which is a subject in the active voice sentence, would be written as by her. It will be by it. They will be by them. Okay, so these are the different forms of the pronouns, the change of pronouns in the passive voice. Okay, as you see, the auxiliary verbs are used in passive voice according to the tense of the sentence. When you say the tense, here we means, is it past or present or past simple or present simple or whatever. Okay, so according to the tense, we can select the type of the auxiliary verbs. Okay, so let's see. For example, here, if the tense is present simple, you remember the rule of the present simple, the rule of S. We add S to the verb with he, she, it, or the subject. If the subject is he, she, it, we'll add to the verb S in the present simple. And if the subject is I, you, we, they, we'll use the present form of the verb, okay, or the base form without adding any S. Okay. So similarly, here in the passive voice, we use is or are plus the past participle. And here you remember the main rule of the passive voice. We use the verb to be. Okay, and here we selected the present form is and are because we are talking about the present simple tense. Okay, so after is and are, we should add what? The past participle of the verb or of the main verb. In the past simple, okay, we said that the verb will take ed, the main verb will take ed in the regular verbs. When we think of all the types of subject, he, she, it, I, you, we, they, okay, here the verb that is after them will take ed if the verb is regular. If it's not regular verb or even irregular verb, here we have some other form which known as the past form of the irregular. We have some table, okay, we cover it in our previous lectures. So in case the past simple is the tense of the sentence, we should use what? Was or were, the past form of be plus past participle. Was or were plus past participle form. So let's think of this rule of the passive in the present simple in more details. Here we have two columns, this table, the active form and the passive form. If the sentence is present and we found he, she, or it, as you remember, we add to the verb s. Okay, in this case, we'll use it in the passive form as he or she or it according to the object, okay, that will take this place, plus is plus past participle in case it is he or she or it. I mean the subject, the new subject. In the passive form, he or she or it will use is plus past participle. And when we think of the other form of you, we, they, or even I, okay, here we think of the new subject in the passive form, okay, which was an object in the active form. Here we will use it in the first position. So according to the subject or the new subject of the passive form, we will use are. In case we have you or we or they or some pronoun like that, okay, we'll use are plus the past participle. So we'll use are plus the past participle. So let's think of some examples. Let's say the active form is she buys a book. She buys a book. So a book here will be the new subject in the passive form. Okay, this is the active form and this is the passive form. So we'll say a book. A book is it. After it, we said we'll use what? Is plus past participle. So he will say a book is plus the past participle of buy is what? Bought. A book is bought by her. Okay. She buys books. In this form, here we have the object in the active form is books. So it's they. So you should think of books as the new subject in the passive form. Books, and after books, books is they. After they, we should use what? Are plus past participle. So books are bought. Then we can say by her, or even we can omit or hide the previous subject. Okay. So books are bought. Sarah does the homework. Here, the homework is the object here. So we'll start our sentence or our passive sentence with the homework. The homework, it. Okay, so we think of it as it. The homework is done by Sarah. Okay. Also, in the fourth example, they sell the house. So he will say the house is the object, and it will be the subject in the passive form. So the house is. So we think of the house as it. It. So here for it we'll use is plus past participle. For they will say are plus past participle. So here we have the house, and the house is it. The house is bought. The house is bought. Okay. So this is about the present simple passive form. Okay. We have the active form and the passive form. Okay. What about the past simple passive voice? In the passive voice of the past simple tense, we have some structure for the passive sentence. The passive should include was or were plus past participle, as we said. So with he, she, it, we should use was plus past participle. And for you, we, they, and also I, we should use were plus past participle. So in the active form here, for example, we said that for all the past simple sentences, we will find ed in the regular forms. Ed with the regular verbs. Okay. So for example, she cleaned the house. She cleaned the house. So you think of clean plus ed. Okay. So she cleaned the house. You have subject, verb, and object. The object in the passive form will be used in the first position as a subject. So we'll say the house, and since house is it, okay, or can be replaced by the pronoun it, you can say the house was, okay, because he will say that for it we use was, okay. The house was cleaned by her, okay. Also in another example, she cleaned 2 houses. So here we have 2 houses as an object. So we use it in the passive form in the first position or as a subject. 2 houses were cleaned. 2 houses were cleaned. 2 houses, that means they, and they here for they we use what? Were plus past participle. 2 houses were cleaned, and this is the past participle of clean. The third example, Tariq bought a new car. Here a new car is the object, so we'll start our sentence with a new car. A new car was bought by Tariq. Okay, so here we use the car here as it. It plus was plus past participle. So this is it here, new car, was, verb to be plus past participle of by is bought. Okay. In the fourth example, Tariq bought 3 cars. 3 cars. So think of 3 cars should be used as what? As a subject for the passive voice or passive form. Okay. 3 cars were bought. 3 cars were bought by Tariq. 3 cars were bought by Tariq. Okay, we have some similar form for the rest of the tenses or English tenses. We use the verb to be plus past participle. Okay, we will stop our lecture here in this part. See you inshallah next week in some new lesson. Goodbye.